Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, and it's the one before Cheltenham. Good racing it is, mind. We've got a couple of flat races for you, which, unbelievably, Dan has left blank. Absolute disgrace. But Charlie and I have got arrows in the Lincoln Trial and the Lady Wolfrana, as if I'm talking about those on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival. Absolute
dirty
scene.
words.
How many days is it? How many days to the Guineas, Dan?
Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I'm counting down the days to the Guinness, but not about the Guineas. Very
good. Don't forget to look at our Cheltenham Handicaps preview. It is up now. It was very well received. We had a load of live viewers, and we had a load of responses to it as well. Last year, we found a lot of winners of the Cheltenham Handicaps. Well, I say we, the team did, and don't forget that the Cheltenham Trail and Cheltenham Pods will be live going into next week. There'll just be loads of Cheltenham content. We will have a pod on Monday and Wednesday for the first 2 days and the last 2 days. And we will also, I think, be having chats the morning of each day as well. Loads of Cheltenham content coming your way, because what else do you want to talk about? There's horse racing live streaming available on Matchbook as well. So you can watch the Cheltenham Festival there. It's simple. It is there for you. So you can watch the Cheltenham Festival on Matchbook and have a bet at the same time. Maybe the horses we fancy. Happy days. Right. First of all, the 150 at Sandown. It's the novices handicap hurdle. It's the EBF final. It's traditionally very, very competitive. Hastings is 4.5. Firefly is 6.0. Asta La Pasta is 7.5. Then we get into the slightly bigger prices. Charlie Post, how are you? And what do you fancy?
I'm very good, Tom. Thank you. I was looking at the not Josh Stacey under Dan Overall. I actually saw him last night at a preview. I mean, they get everywhere, him and that Andrew Blair White. I mean, that bloke is. Exactly. I mean, he's nearly 25, and the bloke looks like he's about 56. So then, he sounds even older than that. It's unbelievable. And he basically he ripped to pieces every opinion that I had. I mean, it was like he hated me. Yeah. So.
He does. Do you not know?
Don't worry, mate. I was under no illusions after that yesterday. Don't you worry about it. I'm really fucking hoping that Monty Starr wins the Brown Advisory now, because he went to town on me about that. So yeah. Anyway.
Love it.
There's nothing
back to the EBF final.
People really dispassionate, isn't it? Right, go on. Off you go.
Yeah. Again, like you said, ultra competitive, and horses from the right sort of stables. And I was just looking for something that I could play win and place, because I think it's a very, very tricky contest. Came down with Dartmoor Pirate. He won his first start at Wincanton over hurdles. He's then been beat twice, finishing second under a penalty. First time to tell her the name, who, possibly has a live sort of place chance in the Supreme. And then last time out behind Steel Alley, again back at Wincanton. He looked for all the world to me on that occasion, like he's crying out for a step up to this 2.5 mile trip. It goes really well on slow ground. Black Sam Bellamy's notoriously do. And Anthony Honeyball is a trainer that I respect, with Ben Godfrey taking a handy £3 off. I think he's 17.0. I thought win and place with the definite improvement to come with this up-in trip. He was an interesting contender.
That is a price. I'm looking at a price as well with High Treason. So I'll be honest, Dan, because I know you've put up Fireflyer. I when the horse ran at Newbury, I was sort of mega impressed with what he managed to do, Fireflyer, even though he basically didn't look like he's got anything between his ears. I think he is a fairly stupid horse, from what I hear. I think he's pretty good, though. Like my issue with him, and the reason I'm not playing Firefly, is I'm just worried about very testing ground just on what we've seen on the course. So for that reason, I'm sort of fence sitting, going for High Treason, who clearly handled the ground last time. Obviously, he had a respiratory issue at Leicester. They put a tongue tie on. So we don't have a gauge of how good many of these are, but definitely not High Treason, who's now 26.0. I'd sort of rather play him as one that definitely goes on the ground. But perhaps you're going to make a more cogent and positive case for a horse I do have a lot of time for in Fireflyer.
I do agree with you to an extent. He definitely is a bit of a raw work in progress, but I think there are signs that he is starting to get his act together somewhat. I say, like you said at the start of the race, Tom, keep an eye on this because this will work out to be a good piece of form. It always does. As you've seen Etalon, Cuthbert, Dibble, Krabilli, Crambo come out of the race last year, and they're all leading players at the festival this year. So keep an eye on it, whatever it turns out to be, and whoever wins. I just kind of kept coming back to Firefly. Like you two, I think I was looking for something at a bit of a price for the reasons you've outlined, but I just believe he does have the ability to rate a fair bit better than his current mark. As he gave Brecon Castle a pretty good race, I think at the October meeting, on the November meeting, in a bumper. He's probably the best British bumper horse we have, and it's a shame he'll miss Cheltenham. Looked a work in progress, probably to say the least, behind Gidley Park, as you mentioned, Tom. But I think he's maturing, and I think there were signs of that when he beat Secret Squirrel last time out. That was good ground at Taunton over 2 mile free. A relative test of speed. I don't think that would have suited Firefly, but it definitely suited Secret Squirrel, and he battled down well to beat him on that occasion. I think that experience hopefully will bring him on and will have just educated him a bit, because he definitely needs it. And if that has just kind of put him in the right direction, I think there's little doubt that he could be the class act of this race. And if he is just a bit more streetwise now, he could be a big player in this race. But it's a race to keep an eye on, whoever wins, because it will turn out to be a good piece of form.
Yes, it almost always is. 225 at Sandown is the Imperial Cup. Bad is at the top of the betting, although Ben Pawning's well represented here because he's got Gypcott as well. They're both 7.0, actually. Go Dante, God, this is open, 7.0. Making Headway, 9.0. Knickerbocker Glory, 11.0. As is Sans Brie, Bruit, and 12.0 and bigger the rest. Right, you can make this case, Dan. I have put this horse up as my Matchbook Zero long shot. Where have you got this from?
Yeah, I saw you did that. I was like, has he just done what he did last week and just randomly copied some of my selections at the prices again? Yeah, that sounds about right. It worked last week. It must work again. I do think Shared is just massively overpriced. He's basically over, I think he's outsider of the field, if not the second outsider of the field. Obviously, only a 5-year-old. He achieved a decent level of form as a juvenile. He won the 4-year-old limited handicap hurdle for Chepstow earlier in the season, beat Jigger Joan there on that occasion on heavy ground, battled down well to win. He went on to hold his own from high marks in decent quality handicaps as well. The way he campaigned is interesting. We haven't seen him for 40 days when he ran in the same as Brentford Hope, Harry Derham all trains. Now, Harry Derham wouldn't exactly string, so I think it's very interesting that he raced 2 of them in the same race. Brentford Hope was clearly the main chance in that race. I would say Shared was basically there for a run to get him ready for something else, and I'm hoping this is the race he had in mind. We know from his early tenure as a trainer, he's a very, very good target trainer. He's very much taken after his former boss, Paul Nicholls, who also routinely targets this race as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's had this race in mind for a long time. He's still relatively unexposed compared to a fair few in this field. I think a strong test of stamina at 2 miles will really suit him, as we saw at Chepstow. So I thought at 34.0, I think a lot of those ahead of him in the betting are far more exposed than he is. So I just thought he was massively overpriced at 34.0.
And I will echo that when I come to the Matchbook Zero long shot. But I was very close to putting the horse up. I just the sort of the 7-day backup just had me scratching my head a little bit. But honestly, the trainer is like, he doesn't run. He's not taking some horses to the festival because he doesn't think they've got a great chance. He doesn't just turn up for the sake of it, and he would have targeted this contest definitely. I was Making Headway, who won on testing ground at Newbury last time. I thought there was enough there. I quite like the Kamzenas form, and I thought there was enough there to think that he was well treated off a mark of 129. I don't think this is the perfect race for Go Dante. I've found Bad hard to get a handle on. Still think there's a bit of hype about him, which and he's not a horse I want to back at the top of the betting. And then we come to Making Headway, his 9.0. So, he's obviously not Group 1 level or Grade 1 level. He proved that at Aintree, but he will definitely handle conditions. He's got his head back in front of Newbury, and I like the Kamzenas form to suggest 129. He's fairly treated. Charlie Post.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone for another target trainer, but probably the horse that's a bit more exposed. Last year's County Hurdle winner, Favor. He's been, as is often the way with Dan, he won that big spring target off 134. He's now £2 higher off 136, but he's kind of been, I'd imagine, working his way back to something in the spring. Stable also, I mean, he is entering the County Hurdle, this lad. The stable also has Loda Sood, who I think has a massive chance in that race. And I just wondered if they were seeing this as a very winnable target. They won it a couple of years ago with Langadan. And this horse ran well in the Betfair last time out. He was only beat 9 lengths. And with the greatest respect, he was ridden by Heidi Palin then, who's a talented young rider for the yard. But Harry Skelton takes back over tomorrow, and that's got to be a major plus, I'd have thought. Add into that, the horse has dropped £1 from that race too, and he goes really well on slow ground as well. He's won on heavy before, which I think will be important in these sort of conditions. And yeah, Dan is seriously adept with these 2 mile handicap hurdlers, and in favour at 12.0, I thought from a win and place perspective, he was a really interesting bet.
Trevor says, Sans Brouet, look at the form in France laid out. Do they still have the bonus for this? Is there still the bonus for?
I don't know if they do.
It's not there,
I'm not
is it?
sure.
No. The more battle has the bonus. I don't think this does anymore.
No, they did in the Langadan days. I asked Paul Nichols. Yeah, honestly. And talking of bad beats, there were a few of us on Langadan for the boys' race. I think it was 33s. And he bumped into Galopin de fucking Champ. And there's a video of me holding my, at the time, I think 8-month-old, watching the race on my phone. So I was working the morning that day and I'd come home and screaming obscenities at Galopin de Champ. Anyway, so I asked Paul Nichols about this horse for the county, and he said Affadil was the one he wanted to get in. I don't know, that sort of threw me a bit for Sans Brouet. Anyway, there we are. Don't know.
He wants soft ground. I'm just not sure about 2 miles for him. Like a lot of his form in France was over 2 mile 5 up to 3 miles. So, but he's an interesting horse. He's well handicapped, but I just thought 2 miles was sharp.
Why is producer Dan Hussey showing a picture of Langadan? Like, imagine being all like, "Hey, I love this horse. I found the horse because it's named after you." Like, no form. If he was called Langatom and I'd have backed him, and I was all like, "Hey, Langatom." It's pathetic.
Screaming obscenities.
It's the fact that he's got. It's the fact that he's got the picture of him winning at Aintree up on the Cheltenham Handicaps preview thing.
Worse. Even worse. God, why don't you put a Derby winner up there? I'm over it. It's fine. Where are we going? I don't know. We're going on to the next race. That's what we got. Is anyone still like, is anyone done with previews yet? Or are we still going strong? Still on the bridle.
We're in fine form this morning. This has been.
I love the social media backlash about it. People are so bloody miserable. It's just it's all the fun of it, isn't it? But people hate it. Yeah.
I want to get Andrew Blair White on the podcast. That's what I want to do. ABW, come on, ABW.
Especially if he's got a pint. Honestly, is in that like he suits that ideally.
3 o'clock at Sandown is over 2 miles. It's the Mayor's Bumper. Honky Tonk Highway is 5.5. Just Call Me Lucy 6.0. Magical Annie is 7.0. Bigger prices thereafter. Daniel's sitting it out, nearly did, but I have gone for Magical Annie in the end, who, again, 2 horses that have clearly had breathing issues in the past. The second one I'm putting up, Magical Annie, they've gone for the hood and tongue tie. She obviously won at Galway, been picked up by the yard. The Megsons have bought well this year. She was sent off the 11-4 favourite, and she disappointed. I'm very much willing to give her another chance. Like, we don't know anything about Honky Tonk Highway, really. Just Call Me Lucy might be good enough off the back of that success at Carlisle, but and it was impressive. But I still think that this is going to be a good bit deeper, and Magical Annie is clearly expected to be a bit better. She's still an each way price in a 12-runner race, 7.0. I don't think, hopefully with the tongue tie on, the wind sorted, and a hood on, she'll be out the first 3. Charlie.
Yeah, like you say, Honky Tonk Highway is priced up purely on the fact that she was an expensive purchase out the point-to-point field. We know nothing about her. As you would expect in a race of this nature, a lot of very unexposed mares pitching up, searching for the important black type. Again, I've actually came down with Ben Paulin's other runner in this. I've made up my mind. She's a really diminutive little filly, but with a good pedigree by Blue Brazil, out of a good race mare and 2 Swallows that Paul Webber used to train previously. And she put up a really encouraging debut at Wincanton. She finished 2nd. They pulled Mars clear of the 3rd, and she was beat by a mare of Paul Nichols is called Jubilee Alpha that I think is well, and I know is incredibly well regarded. And I'd imagine if she'd have pitched up in a race like this, she would have been one of the market leaders. This mare is 13.0. She seems to have a really good mindset. She's tough and tenacious, which you'll need to be in this ground. You know, with Ben Pauling, we know his horse are in really great order. And I just like the fact that, again, she was at a price where you could back a win and place.
Trevor says, can anyone tell me what Paul Nicholls' record is with a first-time hood? I don't, but if anybody, I'm reading that out just in case anybody else can. But I can't tell you, sir. Moving on to the 335 is the Premier Handicap Chase. It is Golden Sun at the top of the betting, Paul Nicholls, 4.0, Cotmass 5.0, Scarface 6.5, Invincible now is 7.0, as is Teresita, bigger prices thereafter. The fact, Dan, that there is so much pace on here just sort of fried my head and I had to sit it out.
Yeah, it's a trappy little race. I can see what you mean. I've kind of gone with Golden Sun. Obviously, Cheltenham was finally got back in my good books last week, and obviously he was the one to beat him a couple of weeks ago at Kempton. I thought the £3 rise for that was probably fair enough. I know they finished in a bit of a heat, and it's been quite a patchy start to life with Paul Nicholls so far for him, but I think there's still a fair bit of potential with Golden Sun. It's a really encouraging chase debut behind Aroko. Quite what to make of Aroko going to Cheltenham, I'm not sure, but I think that was a fair effort on his debut for the yard after coming from France. I mean, you can forgive his two pulled up efforts. At Aintree, the ground was completely bottomless. It was that day where it was worse than heavy, so you can put a line through that. And then when the next time out, I think Harry Cobden reported that he thought the horse knocked himself, so looked after him. So I think you can forgive that. Got back on track at Kempton with first-time cheek pieces on, responded gamely on that occasion. I'll still have 138 here. He came to Britain with a mark of 142 after his exploits in France and a very high level of form over there. A lot of graded form to his name. So he should still be capable of better. I didn't think it was necessarily the deepest race, but a trappy one. But I thought Golden Sun was a fair enough price given he comes here in form.
Charlie, who are you with?
Yeah, Cotmass for me for Gary Moore. He's made a good start to his chase career, this horse, winning a couple of starts. Started off behind, a good performance behind Blow Your Wad on 2 starts ago at Kempton, and then has won his last 2 starts, including around the track when he beat Fine Casting impressively. He was good the last day, beating Scarface at Plumpton. Granted, that one meets him on slightly better terms here, but I just have a feeling that Cotmask has a little bit more improvement in him. You say there's loads of pace. I think this will suit this horse. He can be ridden from off it. He handles the track well. I think Gary Moore is always someone to follow in handicap chases around Sandown. So I thought 5.0, this horse was a value bet.
All right, 1 or 2 in the race for Gary Moore. That is Cotmask at 5.0. Golden Sun is 4.0. That's the jump racing done. We come on to the Lady Wolfrana Stakes, the 240. It's a listed race, a Class 1 contest, 6 runners over 7 furlongs. Should have been a ring is 2.3. Dr. Khan Jr. is 5.0. 9 tenths is 5.0. Mum's Tipple is 7.5. Bigger prices thereafter. Just me here, I think. Look, should have been a ring, should win. He's got a very good record fresh. He was on the go for a long time last year. I do think this is his ideal trip. He's 1 from 4 on the all-weather. He's just a little bit short for me. Haggis will have targeted this race. The distance, I quite like dropping in trip off the back of the run last time when a beaten favourite. Otherwise, is getting £5, but has 13 to find. So officially has eight to find. But just a 4-year-old, this time of year, William Haggis can send out a nice few sort of early season all-weather winners, and is a previous course and distance winner as well. I guess the one niggle is that he can be a touch slowly away, although he did seem to put that to bed last time. Thought William Buick was an interesting jockey booking. So 5, and there is pace on as well. So 5.0, 9 tenths, I thought was the play in, albeit just a small win bet. And then we come to the Lincoln Trial Handicap.
Tom, apologies. I meant to put should have been a ring up on the document. I just thought that horse would win. As in I thought drawn 1. I then was interested maybe if the record fresh wasn't great, but won first time out last season as well, well clear on rating. So I mean, it's whether you want to be backing just above even money, but I thought there were far worse even money shots than this horse tomorrow, because able to win fresh and just way better than the opposition.
Yeah, that's should have been a ring. That's now been added to the document, Charlie.
Thank you.
That's all right, no problem. Although our producer spelt it wrong, I can tell it, so he'll amend it. That's fine. No, he's doing it now. I can see it. I can't read what he's written. 3:15, the Lincoln Trial handicap. Well, I could, but I'm not going to. Is an 11-runner field. Just Charlie and I here. We agree as well. Final voyage heads to betting. Interesting. Johnny Murta sending one over the amount of William Buick 6.5. Same price for Kingdom Come. King's Code is 8.0. Smoky Mountain is 8.5. I thought that was the form to have a look at. The Southall run. Obviously, it's strong form because King's Code Charlie has come out and won subsequently, and Smoky Mountain came out and was beaten since. I thought there's a few hold-up horses in the race. I thought Smoky Mountain would be able to get on the speed, and I think there's a lot more to come from him. He seems to be settling a bit better in his races. He knows how to win at the track, and I just thought King's Code got a sort of stronger run down the outside last when he beat him, and Smoky Mountain didn't almost have chance to respond. He's just much better off at the weights now, and I thought they were the wrong way around. So I would make Smoky Mountain shorter personally than King's Code, given that he's much better off for that Southall defeat. So 8.5 he was for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's £6 better off with the King's Code from Southall. I thought the last run at Newcastle, I thought maybe it was a falsely run race as well, and Stars Inc. half just was perfectly positioned when they quickened and just kind of half Smoky Mountain was never getting to him, but never really was in a position to. And again, going back to what you said, the Wolverhampton stat, it seems that he runs Wolverhampton as the all-weather tracks better than anywhere else. 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. As you said, he's drawn one. If he can get out, get a good pitch, this track seems to suit him ideally. And at 8.5, as you say, I just thought from a price perspective, he was the one to be with in this contest.
Should we have the Paul Nicholls first-time hood stats?
Please, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Right.
There you go. See, while you were talking about the flat and I was doing some research in the background, it worked out perfectly. So, Paul Nicholls, first-time hood since 2014, 97 runners, 19 wins for a strike rate of just under 20%, but you would have lost about 35% of your money at SP back in the mall. So, not great, but then again, you probably wouldn't expect too much with first-time hoods because they're generally not the best sign anyway.
That's very good. Tell you what.
That is good.
That's made me really happy that we can provide that service. Genuinely.
There you go. There you go. If we can
We
add a
know
little
what Dan
fun
Overall
section,
gets
you
up
guys
to in
have
the
fun.
evening.
Oh yeah, don't worry. It can be some sad stat trawling evenings, but hey, it's all worth it for moments like that, Charlie. You see,
right? And
Oh,
this
mate,
is brought me.
I'm all over it. I love it.
Keith's brought me straight back down to earth. Don't mean to rub it in, Tom, but I was on Galopan at 20-1 to win any race when he won the pipe. Piss off. Great. I'm delighted, Keith. Yeah. No, great shout, Keith. I appreciate that. Well done. I really don't actually, but good stuff. And he was a world beater, Keith. Look at him now. Look at him now. He's probably going to win 2 Gold Cups on the bounce, and Langadan is still being aimed at a Coral Cup.
the great game.
Maybe he's been treated for ulcers this year, so he's all right.
Who, Langadan?
Yeah.
Needs to be treated for a bit more of that based on his last. He's hard to train in the winter.
Yeah.
Right. Any other bets, Charlie? You got 3 for us, Charlie.
2, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can make one up though.
Go on.
Arctic Row in the 3:30 at Air today. I think he's 3.75. He runs the track really well. He was impressive there the last day. He raised 7, but he in the second pulled an awfully long way clear. And I would take him to frank that form. The second pitch is up again here today in the same race. So yeah, Arctic Row, progressive chaser. And then Rouge Vith in the 3:27 at Hereford tomorrow. A lot of people remember this also. I think he was rated 164 at his best when he was running in Tingle Creeks and the like when trained by Harry Whittington. He's been in the doldrums for quite a bit, but his mark now reflects that. He's down to 127. And what I thought made him interesting was this is his first start for Richard Bandy. So another change of scenery for the horse. Richard Bandy's also been in really good form. He's 2 from 3 in the last 14 days. And I mean, the horse is just ridiculously well handicapped if he retains any ability whatsoever. And the fact that he's moved to a new yard and a new yard that's in really good form made him interesting for me.
Dan, what are you two? And can you answer Trevor's question? Why is a first-time hood not a good look?
I think just first-time hoods I associate with a horse who's just struggling to settle. But on St. Brewer, I don't think it's first time, because I did look into him yesterday. I think he wore a hood in basically all of his starts in France. So it's actually just a reapplication of the headgear combination he was used to, which would be more positive for me rather than it being first time. As for first time, I just feel it's an indication of a horse that's struggling to settle and maybe more of an educational tool rather than trying to get a bit more out of them like cheap pieces. But that's just my interpretation.
And your other bets, sir?
My other two bets both come at Sandown. The 410 Bangers and Cash, I think, has a pretty good chance here. Quite a few out-of-form types in this race, and I think this looks quite a winnable opportunity. He's actually the youngest in the lineup, and he's been running into form this season. Best run was over course and distance last time when a narrow fourth. Dropped a pound back to his last winning mark, and his prominent run style in a race that's lacking many clear pace angles, I think, will suit. And the Ben Pauling team, as we know, remain in very good form. And then the 440, Nocte Volatus, I think is, again, one of those horses. Just a bit frustrating. He's been expensive to follow, but this looks a decent opportunity. He was second in this race 2 years ago off 129, beating a neck. He was fourth in this race last year, beaten 4 lengths off 131, now down to a mark 123. And he hasn't had a disastrous season by any stretch. He's ran very well on 3 in his 4 starts, including a couple of better races at Chepstow earlier in the season. The handicap has been fairly generous in his drops, I think. It has been 2 years since his last win, but I think he's getting to a mark now where he's capable of winning. I don't think it's necessarily the deepest race either. And we know he clearly handles Sandown from his 2 previous exploits in this race. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to get his first win in a couple of years.
Good stuff. There's 4 extra bets for you between Dan and Charlie. Matchbook 0 long shot time. Don't forget Matchbook 0, 10 a.m. each day. Have a look at the win market and your odds will almost certainly be enhanced from sportsbook prices. They should be with an exchange anyway, because that is how an exchange works. But with Matchbook 0, there's 0 margin, 0 commission. So if you want to win bet on anything, then it's a no-brainer, essentially. And for the Cheltenham Festival, there's going to be loads of liquidity there, big full markets for you to get stuck into at prices you want to, have basically what you like on. So that, although there is a max bet there, but that is a no-brainer, really, if you fancy something in a win market at a half decent price. I'm with Shared in the 225, the Imperial Cup. Great target trainer, Harry Derham, and he gave him a spin round last week, and I think he's targeted this race. Dan's copied me. Charlie?
Yeah, same race as well. We've done a really good job between the three of us. Fave one, Imperial Cup for me.
Good. Dan, get your own bets, mate. I'm not even going to bring you in.
Yeah, sorry. You're my tipping idol, Tom, as we know. So I've backed you in the competition for Cheltenham as well. Because I think
you haven't, surely not.
Yeah. No, all over you, mate.
18-1. Right, I went out in round 1 last year. Matt, we haven't best lays. We haven't got any for today, but I'm going to throw a curveball in because we've got more of an idea of the shorties for the festival. Now we know where Ballyburn's going. We've got a load of odds on shots, so I want some quickly thrown in. Cheltenham Festival best lay. Mine is Factor File in the Brown Advisory at around about 1.9. I don't think he's done anything to deserve that whatsoever. So he is my best lay next week. Dan, who's your best lay?
I'm actually going to join you on that one. I'm not even. Yeah, I agree. I think he's short enough, realistically speaking. Obviously, he's untested at 3 miles. I think a lot of his price now is manufactured on a lot of the preview night circuit talk that this is a Gold Cup horse and he'll win the next 2. But apparently Meeting of the Waters will also win 2 Gold Cups. So it's one of those where I think there's just a bit too much hype in his price currently. And I think the field is actually stacking up to be quite a decent one in opposition.
Charlie?
Lads, I'm all over it with you. Factor File. I've put him up as a lay on the previews I've done. So yeah, I mean, I think of all the real shorties, just nothing he's done justifies him being as short as he is.
Love it. All right, there's the team steam to lay. Factor File. He'll probably go and cop now. Best bets then back on Saturday. Mine's going to be Making Headway in the Coral Cup. Charlie?
Cop Mask in the 335.
And Dan?
And so we have 3 for 3 different races. I'll go for the 410 at Sandown, Bangers and Cash.
Great stuff. Charlie, Dan, thank you as ever. You'll hear from these guys next week. Don't forget, we've got a Cheltenham first 2 days preview on Monday and another one on Wednesday for the final 2 days. And there'll be content for us on social media, particularly on X/Twitter, each and every morning. We will see you there next week. And hopefully you get a bit of money in the bank from our bets this weekend. Bye-bye.